How to Be a Hypnotherapist. I'm just putting the final touches to my training room that I've now finished at home. I just want to put these last copies of my book up on the shelf, and I would love to show you around my new training room. So I'm just going to walk around and move the camera so that you can see it. First and foremost, look at the view. That is absolutely amazing, that view, wouldn't you agree? And this is the teaching table where we'll all be teaching from, well, learning from. Plenty of room for everybody. And next door is my therapy room, which I've had here for many years. And then, of course, the teacher's desk, who is me. So why did we move? Basically, I think I'm going to move the camera a bit closer. Hold on. That looks a bit better. So why did we decide to move? COVID. Because of COVID, I was renting a massive office in Technopole with all these shutdowns, and amazingly enough, both my grown-up children have now left home, and this was my daughter's bedroom, and I thought it was a perfect opportunity to have a look at my business and revamp it. So I've turned my daughter's room, she said I've trashed it. I've turned it into a proper training room now. So we're training this diploma course from home. And this month, I actually wrote a blog about if you're thinking of training as a hypnotherapist. The reason I wrote the blog is when I first trained as a hypnotherapist 17 years ago, a long time ago now, there wasn't the internet. There wasn't all that information out there. And I'm not sure if that was a hinder or if the internet helps. But there are so many different schools. And of course, we all believe we offer the best training. So what would I want to learn if I was starting out? Well, first and foremost, I'd want to know how big the class is. Because if you're in a class of 10, 12, 14, 20, 30 delegates, how are you going to get that individual attention? The small classes, we run at the HSOH for the diploma course, we have 4 delegates on a course. The reason I have 4 delegates on a course, if you do choose to train with it, I'm a very hands-on trainer, and in the morning we do all the theory, we break for lunch, and then after lunch, and there is a chair here, I do demos, I watch you practice. When there's 4 on the course and you're a little bit confident, 2 of you will be in the therapy room with me in this room watching the other 2. Practical, it's a practical job. So when you are looking, do check how much practical there is, how many trainers there are to delegates. We do take a maximum of 8 with the HSOH, but once we go above 4 in the afternoons, I bring another trainer in. And if you go above 4, we will be training back at Technopole in Portsmouth, because I will need a bigger room than I have here, which is how I worked anyway. My office at the Technopole took 4 delegates. Any bigger, I hired rooms within the building. Another thing, when you're thinking of training as a hypnotherapist, I have listed them in my blog, what I feel is very important. Scripts. All I see, or they're not called scripts anymore, they're called metaphors. Do you have to write your own scripts, or are you given them? You see, when you first start out, you don't have to be a writer to become a hypnotherapist. You do need to have a formula, something to follow, because there is so much to learn when you're becoming a hypnotherapist that if you have to have everything in your memory, how on earth are you going to store all that information? It is so important when you first start that you are given, whether they want to call them scripts, which is what I call them because I'm old-fashioned, or metaphors. With the HSOH, you are given scripts. Not only are you given scripts, you are taught how to use them. So make sure you are given something in writing, you don't have to create it. And the other thing I've really noticed, so many people now sell scripts on the internet and give you they're just stories. There's no language. There's no teaching people to understand how to give direct command or an indirect command. So make sure the school covers the language of hypnosis, the finds, the nows, the notice. If you try, you will find the harder you try. It is so important that you are taught, because it seems to be disappearing with this fast world. People are churning out these scripts, and they're literally stories without the direct and indirect suggestions in them. Does the court regression? This has always been a stickler. Well, one of the things I am so appreciative of, that my first diploma course, I actually did 2 diploma courses when I trained back in many years ago, but the first diploma taught us regression. Okay, you don't want to use regression, you've got all this solution focus, that's fine. But I can assure you, I've only been doing this job as a hypnotherapist 17 years, I can assure you, people, when they're relaxed and they're hypnosis, some people will just go bang and they will regress. If you're not taught how to deal with it, what are you going to do? So regardless of whatever techniques you want to know, ensure that your course covers regression, so that when a client spontaneously regresses without you even asking them to, you know how to deal with it. IMR. This is my most favourite technique, ID motor response. I am doing a webinar on the ID motor response. I think it's 5th of February, but you'll find the details on the website www.hsoh.co.uk. And my webinar next month is going to be talking about the IMR, which is ID motor response. When I trained 17 years ago, we spent one day on IMR. And I will always remember this day. ID motor response is a way of bypassing the conscious analytical mind, and it's a direct link to the subconscious. And the way I teach it is using a finger. And we spent a day on this. Do you know, it blew my mind. It blew me away. A way to talk to the young without the... And then we were told, the thing is, it's hard to learn and it doesn't really work. I'm the sort of person that I ask questions and I thought, what do they mean they don't really work? So I spent years developing the ID motor response the way I teach it, and I can assure you the results are amazing. It is so client-centred. So check that your course teaches more than one day on the ID motor response. And the other thing you need, because a lot of training courses, they teach you lots of techniques, they teach you scripts, they teach you this, but they don't teach you a formula. So when you're qualified, you then are there with all this information, it's not been put together for you. With the HSOH, we teach you a formula. So we teach you what to do on the first session, second session, third session. So make sure that you have a formula and that you don't then have to go on all these training courses. You know, the CPD courses are fantastic. They're all one-shot wonders. They can cure everything in one session. I've been on a few CPD courses. I have not yet found one technique that cures everything in one session. Yes, some clients, they do actually make the change in one session, but what then? So make sure when you're looking at training courses that you check, how big is the class? Do they teach IMR? Do they teach regression? And do they teach you how to be a hypnotherapist? Funny enough, that's what my book's called, How to Be a Hypnotherapist. Then the other thing is, hypnotherapy is self-regulated. So is the training school associated with more than one self-governing bodies? And the reason I say more than one is because then you have a choice. The HSOH, we are associated with the General Hypnotherapy Register, which is accredited by the General Hypnotherapy Standards Council, the National Hypnotherapy Society and the National Hypnotherapy Association. You are free to make a choice of whom you choose to join. If you choose to join, it's entirely up to you. And finally, which I think is one of the most important things when you are training as a hypnotherapist, do they give you support once the course is finished? Or are you limited and you can only contact the trainer at a certain time in a certain place via email? Because when you're doing a practical job, it is so important to be supported. The Institute of Natural Therapies, we were given support afterwards. But my teacher, whenever I phoned with a query, she said, I've only got 5 minutes, Lorraine, hurry up. I trust you. I am not like that. Every delegate that trains with me on the hypnotherapy diploma course, I support you afterwards. When you're working with clients, I support you with the marketing, I support you with any of your questions. So I hope you enjoyed this video blog. And if you want to read the blog in full, you go over to the website, www.hsoh.co.uk, and have a look at the blog. And if you are thinking of training in hypnotherapy, please give me a call.